Renata Brkic and Teo Petricevic. Hello. Take a seat, please. Anywhere you want. We'll keep the social distance. Here you have the hand sanitizer. We have our own official branded masks. So, first of all, I would like to ask you, how are you? How's everything? How do you feel in this era of global pandemic, but also maybe new opportunities?
Well,
Ladies first. Ladies first.
I start. Well, I'm fine, handling pandemics as any other business challenge. And I would really like to congratulate the organizers of the conference for organizing a live conference, which is rare today, but only the brave do it, and they do it with all precautionary measures, so congratulations.
Of course, I have to mention the organizers one more time. We put all of the safety measures right here. You who are at home, you cannot see these, but all the seats here in Mingle Mall have one space separated. But nevertheless, of course, the hand sanitizers, everything is here. Theo, how are you?
I'm feeling fine. I mean, yeah, we are living in the turbulent and challenging times, but I think these challenges basically are just opening the new opportunities, especially in the social innovation field, where we are quite active, I suppose, Renata and me as well.
Okay, glad to hear. Renata here with us. She's a serial entrepreneur and impact investor. Renata, can you tell us who are even entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and what is the difference between a normal and a social entrepreneur?
In order to understand that, you need to understand some of English and some of Croatian. So social in English is not what social in Croatian is. And before opening the topic, I would like that everybody understands the difference. Social in Croatian means socijalno, and it carries some connotations that are not meant in the English expression social, and that's why the people think there is a difference. However, I'm a supporter of the thesis, and I'm really doing everything every day to raise awareness in business and out of business, also in politics, in the public perceiving that there is no difference between an entrepreneur and a social entrepreneur. And I wouldn't even use the term social, I would use impact entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that by the end of this panel, everybody will understand that as soon as possible, all entrepreneurs become and perceive themselves as impact entrepreneurs, the world will be the better place. Now this was very philosophical, but we will explain it in the course of the
No,
panel.
I think it's impivotable and of great importance to split the difference right here at the beginning, so it doesn't make any confusion with the audience, with the viewers, and so on. I also have a question for Theo. Theo is a social business architect and a serial social entrepreneur. Since we are here mostly young people, what would you say, what a social entrepreneurism or impact entrepreneurism gives, what opportunities gives to young people?
Maybe I will just continue a little bit on the first question, because I think sometimes I have a disagreements with some people who are basically the stakeholders in the social entrepreneurship ecosystem, but I totally agree with Renata moving from social term to impact term, because I would say there are at least two differences between the traditional entrepreneurs and impact entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs. One is definitely motivation, why they are in it. When we are putting that on the basis, for example, of the profit, I would say the traditional entrepreneurs are still in it because of the motivation for the private profit, while impact entrepreneurs are there to create basically some kind of the impact to leave, some kind of the meaningful, significant footprint in the business or yeah, in the sector where they're doing the business. So I think that, yeah, we are talking about the entrepreneurs, and moving to the second question, I wouldn't say that the ecosystem should be somehow different for the youth entrepreneurs and some other type of entrepreneurs, because when we are talking about the Croatian situation and when we are looking at the key elements of the business ecosystem, we see that basically there are a lot of challenges which will stay here for decades. So when we are talking about the culture or public opinion on entrepreneurship in Croatia and Western Balkan countries, we all know that, yeah, we are not entrepreneurial countries. Basically, public doesn't support the entrepreneurial mindset. Renata was in the couple of occasion situations when basically, you know, was a little bit like attacked because she's an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, etc., etc. Then we are talking about your education. We know education system in Croatia and how basically is enabling or how it's fostering the development of the business skills. We have institutions, you know, who are highly corrupted, not really functional, etc., etc. Then, you know, we have some other elements which need like significant reform, for which we need basically a couple of, you know, years and decades. I would say that we need to concentrate when you're talking about the youth entrepreneurship on the two elements of the ecosystem. First one is basically the tailor-made support to youth and to entrepreneurs who basically want to innovate or do the business. We are talking about financial, like Renata is doing, and non-financial support, and at the same time, I would say the biggest impact we could have on the development of the business models who are targeting the most important challenges in the society we have. So my feeling is youth, but also other entrepreneurs don't have really a big like opportunities to be really successful entrepreneurs in Croatia if they are still sticking to the non-developed elements of the ecosystem, as I said, to the education, to the institution, to the legislative, and other frameworks. So I think the work that Renata is doing, Philip is unfortunately not here with us because his organization is doing great things also with the creating new youth leaders and youth entrepreneurs, and organization like mine, ACT Group, who is basically supporting early stage entrepreneurs in their development. But this is where our focus needs to be, because we can see fast results, businesses growing fast, and they just need support. So I would say youth entrepreneurship basically has a bright future only if we focus on the non-financial and financial support and just forget what basically state is creating and want to create for the businesses.
Okay, thank you for that elaboration. But also, right now you're acting as director of ACT Group. And just to distinguish what you mentioned, the normal, the standard way of people who receive education, can you share with us maybe a little bit of your background? How did you manage to sit here right around where you are? And how did your business or entrepreneurial path emerge?
Yeah, basically everything is based on learning by doing, you know, methodology. So I started doing business when I finished the high school. So in the beginning of the studies in Zagreb, I basically started with the distribution of the books and other printed material. Then I started the book publishing, and after that I just developed a couple of different ventures. So my motivation was always in the change I could create in the communities where I worked or lived. Mostly that was the north part of the Croatia, but somehow the motivation was always looking and seeing the change in the eyes of the people who are basically part of my team, workers in the enterprises I established, or now in the organization who is basically supporting the new businesses. So, as I said at the beginning, I consider myself a social impact entrepreneur because the business models and the thing that is behind the business models is always focused on the change I want to create. And yeah, the footprint I want to leave in the communities where I do the business.
Okay, Renata, as being part of Feels Good Capital Partners, do you feel and do you have the same kind of motivation so that you end up right now in this position where you are right now, what just Theo said?
Yes, actually, I'm not a young entrepreneur. I'm a 50 plus person. But I've been in, so it means I've been in business for 30 years and I
It's
have...
a state of mind and the spirit.
Yes, but it helps.
The years are just numbers.
Yes, but that's why I'm here now, because I've been around for 30 years and I have collected a lot of experience and a lot of different topics and information. And actually, I have invented Feels Good. I was not positioned there as a partner or as a president. I mean, my answer to this question is completely the same as Theo's. I've been out doing things, learning by doing. Of course, in parallel, you need to work on your formal education, but learning by doing, networking, solving problems, and this is what brings you to where you are at a certain point of life. It's all up to you. It is you who is about to choose. You choose your university or not to attend the university, which is absolutely fine as well. You choose your employer. You don't beg for employment, but you choose it. You choose your business models and you choose your partners in life. So I think this is the attitude that then helps you travel fast through life and through business.
Okay, but based on the statement right here, what would you say the perception right now in the young people, let's say from 18 to 25 or maybe even more, what is the perception they have or they should do to become successful in entrepreneurship? Is that something that is very different from what you just said, or do people do find themselves and they do know that, you know, learning is doing, or vice versa?
Well, they should be motivated, and it's very personal. It also comes from the family, from who are your parents, which book you are reading books you are reading in your life, who are your companions when you are teenager and then a student. So it is very personal. Of course, there are two life attitudes. One life attitude is get a job, stay in this company and get your pension, and don't raise your voice and don't do anything. Do everything as it was always done. Do everything traditionally. In your first question, you said what is the difference between normal entrepreneurs and impact entrepreneurs. So this traditional is like perceived normal. So, but there are people, and this is the majority of the people, and this is maybe this is the easier way, and this is the way the majority goes, and this is obeying to authorities and all of this stuff for the safe portion of money, small but safe. The other attitude are creative people, are people who are risk adverse, and who want to build things and who are not afraid of failures, because failures are these are gifts, and this is how you learn. And if you fail 10 times, you are 10 times richer than those who have never tried. So this would be my advice, but the choice is you and on every individual and on the constellation in the environment, in the family as well.
I agree with this. I think there's a saying or a quote, I think I read it, so the successful man is only a man who's done made mistakes. It's a subtle formulation, but it captures what you just said.
Who dares and who tries.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, but let me ask you, Teo, do you think basically what we just now captured, the situation in Croatia, is somewhat different, for better or worse, than the situation in Europe is, rest of the Europe?
Well, maybe at the beginning I could focus on the Eastern European countries. Just recently we finished the research, the study on youth social entrepreneurship in 6 Western Balkan countries, and basically, yeah, the findings are totally in line with what Renata said. The most important factor is definitely culture and tradition. So you can really see the differences between the 6 Western Balkan countries, especially in the mindset of the young people and the motivation and passion, what they want to do in their lives. So if the culture is quite entrepreneurial, like supportive to fail, supportive to do what really you want to do in your life, then we have, you know, young people who really want to do some significant things in their lives and leave the trace, leave the footprint of their business and living. While in some other countries where basically tradition is still in just do some, finish some school, be employed in public sector, young people don't see or don't have in their network of friends and family, etc., like encouraging words, motivation to start something different. So I would say we still have the situation that it's really important who is behind you and who is around you. And this is something that maybe could be also a good message, you know, if there are young people who are quite creative or entrepreneurial, etc., etc. Maybe their mission is also, you know, to activate, to somehow challenge the other young people from their ecosystem to start something on their own. It doesn't need to be a business, it could be whatever their passion is, but I think, you know, somehow young people needs to get out of the box of the traditional culture we have in this part of the Europe, and just, think with their head and do the things they really love. I think this is the biggest difference basically we have between when we are comparing maybe Western European countries and Eastern European countries. I mean, again, is the history, tradition, and the culture of the countries. Maybe multinationality, which is on the quite high level there. But again, when you are comparing the ecosystems, business ecosystems of those countries with our countries, there is a total, really, really big difference in all the elements, starting from education, support, access to the finance, etc., etc., access to the market. Again, public opinion, why it's important to support something, and so I would say we are still stuck in the past regimes and past systems where we basically were. But I see that there are, you know, role models, young entrepreneurs who could change this kind of the behavior and the mentality, but they just need support. You know, nobody can success on their own, especially when basically you are trying to create enabling environment for doing the business and basically change the non-entrepreneurial mindset to more like creative entrepreneurial, just fail.
Right, but since there are, can we interpret this because maybe the ecosystem and the tradition here still has a big impact, as you said, but could there be an advantage maybe because there's not so many social entrepreneurs that maybe it's easier to find your spot under the sun here in Croatia, or do you think that definitely it is easier to accomplish something maybe in Central Europe where
Yeah, I will
people...
be short. I don't think this is the this is the way it would be. Like for example, I was just looking, you know, maybe to move to Rijeka, which is really nice city. I really like Rijeka. I mean, among the Croatian cities, Zagreb and Rijeka can really offer you a good quality of the life. And I talked with a couple of people who work there, who are doing business there, who are studying there. You know, the message is Rijeka is really, really great potential. I mean, you can do whatever you want. Geographically, it's a great position, you know, but there is mentality,
Okay.
you know, and a little bit depression of everything what is, yeah, happening with the industry, etc., and now with the European, yeah, capital cities. So basically, you know, it is not just important in which stage the development of the element is, of the elements of the ecosystem are. It is more about the, yeah, ecosystem where you are living, of people who are around you. So I'm from Međimurje country, which is considered like, you know, most entrepreneurial region in Croatia. And I would say, yeah, this is why maybe I succeed, you know. Like half of the businesses I started with my colleagues failed, half are success. But you know, we never stop doing the things, and this is something that is really recognizable in the Međimurje County as a mentality, as a spirit of the people.
Okay. Also, since we already draw the line, let's say Croatia and the rest of the Europe, the opportunities, I have a question for you, Renata. Since we're talking about European Union, do you think that European Union funds provide an opportunity for the development of entrepreneurship?
Yes, of course. But I would not draw the line.
Okay,
I hate the lines and the borders.
great. No limits.
There is one planet, and I have on my mobile, I have that photo from the moon taken of the Earth. It's beautiful. So you don't see the borders, and this is how you should consider, and this is your starting point. The planet is one, and we are here. In Croatia, yes, there are problems, and the traditional ecosystem and so on. But at the end, we in Croatia were born in the most beautiful geographical spot, surrounded by the beautiful nation. We are white Caucasians. We had access to computers. We didn't have crucial problems. So we are lucky. And yes, environment, maybe a business ecosystem environment is more difficult than in Germany or in the UK or in the States, but the borders should not be an excuse. So there is a great book with a title by Mr. Thomas Friedman from the New York Times, The World is Flat. He wrote it in 2005. It had to do with the digitalization. But now in 2020, the world is very, very flat, and you don't need BMWs and glass skyscraper behind you to make the business and to develop a business. It's all up to you, and you need a connection to internet and the electricity, piece of electricity. So that's a starting point, and everybody on the planet has a same starting point. Now, we in Croatia are extremely lucky in comparison, if you look at us from the shoes of our Western Balkan neighbors, of the people just 50 kilometers from here in Bosnia or in Serbia, Montenegro, and down to Macedonia, because we are the member of the EU. And this acceleration could be seen very much not only in business, but in all other areas. It is the fact that we now have access to the EU funds. It is a sad fact that we couldn't start this membership in 2005 as the last group was, but only when we did. But now, after 5 years, the progress is visible, and regardless the critics on the absorption of the EU funds, there are problems. Of course, it is the true that the funds are available, and that is on us to put our heads together, build a consortium, monitor what is available, apply to the funds, and get the things done. So yes, there are EU funds. My project, the Feels Good Capital Social Impact Investment Fund, would not be feasible if Croatia were not a member of the EU, because the main investor in our fund is the European Investment Fund. If I were Renata from Belgrade or from Sarajevo, I couldn't have done it, and I couldn't have brought this money to my country.
But okay, what are the experiences working with the European Union and applying for the funds, getting all the project ready and everything? What would be your key advice to young people viewing right now about EU funds and their actions towards it?
Yes, the EU funds, first of all, they require you to network. Okay. I mean, you as a single person, you cannot say, I'm the most clever, I have a project, I will apply. They require you to have partners, to have the clear sense of the project, to have the long-term vision, to have the sustainability, to have different partners. So networking, working with the public sector, private sector, civil organizations, scientists, depending on what is your project and what problem you are solving and for which fund applying. The stronger your consortium is, the better you are, the more points you get. The stronger your background and your track record is, and this is why you need the partners, especially when you're at the beginning and young. You need strong partners against whom you will get the points for the background. So there are many. It's very sustainable, and EU funds require you to design the thing properly and not to spend the money in a one-shot job or thing or something. So these are the advices. Big obstacle and big difficulty for the Croatian ecosystem is that the EU partners with the government, and the authorizing officials and bodies are the government institutions that are not functioning well in Croatia for very different reasons that we can hear in the around us every day. Yeah? And this is a big obstacle because it takes time. People are not competent. It's very bureaucratic. EU is bureaucratic, but it doesn't need to be as bureaucratic as it is, right, and as inefficient as it is in Croatia. Not only for the reason of the managers who are handling it in these public institutions, I mean ministries and different bodies, but also because of the politics and of the mindset that is still in Croatia very competitive between the two mindsets that are prevailing. Okay. If it's blue, it's only blue. If it's red, it's only red, and this is a problem.
Right.
Yeah, maybe if I can just add something. I don't know if Renata will disagree or not, but one lesson learned from basically supporting the young entrepreneurs in Croatia is don't use the EU funds, don't use the restrictive grants to start your business. I think that, this cash is really good if you already developed the business and you want to create some additional value to your business, because basically you're quite stable and you can scale whatever you want. But at the beginning, when you're in the early stage, I think this is too big, like administrative burden, and I think it's too restrictive money to, play and discover what basically your business model is.
Oh, I think this is a good conclusion right here. But would you say that when preparing and when you're having your own business or your idea, initiative, action, whatever you want to call it, you make a certain social impact, right? So, for example, Theo, for you, how do you measure social impact?
Well, when we are talking about the impact, it's not only about the measurement, it's also about the management. So in our organization, and something we are basically learning from the practices we are supporting, and something we are teaching the entrepreneurs is m- do the systematic do have the systematic approach, measure the outcomes, but manage them. It's not really important just to measure what you have done. It is really important to think what you will do with it. And the message behind the impact measurement, the impact management is just maximize your outcome, create the biggest impact you can. So impact measurement is not just about the reporting, satisfying the donors, showing the KPIs or something else. It's about the management. Use the results to be creative, to be more effective, to create the biggest impact you can create with the resources you have.
Okay. Also, I wanted to ask Renata, since she's, I would say freely, that you are the one who is responsible for reviving the Professor Baltazar. How do you measure, for example, oh yeah, here it is, here it is. I think we can all remember from our childhood the mad, I wouldn't say mad maybe, but a little crazy, ludicrous scientist who came up with all of this experience. How do you measure, let's say, an impact from this kind of project onto society or just basically in young people audience?
Well, in business terms, from the investor's perspective, measuring impact means to try to give the monetary value to the social and environmental effects your business has in the world. So there are different efforts. There are currently over 150 different impact measurements efforts and impact measurement like formulas, criterias, and the ideas. Impact measurement is what Theo has elaborated right now in the soft terms, but in order that you can teach the investors and actually raise their awareness on what impact is, you need somehow to find the monetary value of the impact you are making. And the world...
Sorry, are you talking maybe about a return of investment here, or as a considering that you had some large investment?
It's about expressing the impact by numbers.
Yeah, okay.
By numbers that an accountant will understand. This
Right.
is impact measurement, and this is what an investor will ask, because they will say, okay, you will yield the profit. I will earn this kind of percentage of money, but how much impact will you deliver? And this is what a project needs to prove to the investor, and this is what impact measurement is all about. So there are different methods, and the world is working on it. The business community is working on it since it has been working since 20 years. You wouldn't believe it. Yes, we are a little behind in Croatia, but the movement has started in the UK and in the States from the beginnings of, from the 2002. The first impact venture fund was big society capital in the UK in 2002. Then even in 2009, the public sector was in with impact investments and measurements. The first social impact bonds were like implemented and discovered as the instrument, and so on and so on. But what is important is important that it all ended up now in 2019. Last year, the impact-weighted account initiative was launched. What is that? This is that the standard that adds to generally accepted accounting principles to your profit and loss account and the balance sheet. This standard adds the generally accepted impact principles, which means that in the industries, in the companies, the brains sit together and decide on the impact coefficients and turn them into the money and insert them into the finance, into the accounting standard world practices. So this is what is happening. It's been developed at the Harvard University. It's very much now in business, in public. 250 biggest US companies and international companies, they're working on it. And it all has to do with the UN Sustainable Development Goals initiatives by 2030. And yes, there is a movement that will push for it. It's pushing for it and will push it for it. The biggest investing company, the biggest asset investor in the world is BlackRock from the States. Their CEO has announced very strictly 2 years ago already in Davos that the investor will start to look at what good the companies are producing and what damage they are producing while earning money. And when investors talk, businesses listen. And globally, there is a movement towards it. And once it is announced and the companies become aware and they think, okay, once they will see and evaluate my result also by the impact I'm producing, so let me better start now. And this is what PepsiCo has realized already a few years ago in comparison to Coca-Cola, who had not realized it yet. How do you measure it? So when you produce 1 liter of this brown drink with bubbles, you you use the water, you consume the water. So PepsiCo is consuming 150 liters less and spoiling 150 liters less water than the Coke, while in this production process. And then when you have the profits and the turnover from the two companies, you face to the profit and the turnover, you face the cost of damage they have done, and you get a better result from the company A, who had made less damage while doing the job than the one, if you look only at the numbers and the number of bottles sold and the money earned. So this is actually, if I have explained it well,
absolutely, absolutely. You have to be efficient. You have to be on point. Also, since you mentioned the last year, I would now, since we are already a little bit over the schedule, just a final segment, final word. Due to the fact that it's 2020, due to the fact that the situation is, as we all are aware of it, the global pandemic, what would be, tell your advices right now for the people who are trying to get into this kind of business?
Well, I think the message is the same to all the people. So I would say 2 things. Be open to find who you are and just be yourself. I think this is really important, and the society where we are living, it's just pushing us not to find out who we really are. And the second thing is be open to celebrate success and failure. Like we can celebrate the success, but as we discussed before, we are quite afraid of the failures. And I think, yeah, this is the really crucial moment and element in every life which basically gives you the potential for growth, creativity, and moving forward. So yeah, just be yourself, be creative, and just do whatever you want. Everything will be fine or not, but the life goes on.
It's all relative. Okay, Renata, do you agree? Do you have maybe a message for all the people who are viewing and trying to follow your steps, maybe, or try to find their own steps in the world?
Yes, actually I agree, and my message to the young people would always be that you don't live in a special period. The period is always difficult or easy. So COVID is here this year, something else will be next year. We had a war 30 years
Don't
ago.
jinx it now, don't
There
jinx
is always something. But the world goes on, the businesses go on, the people go on, and people should be positive. And we are here to solve the problems and to make a world a better place and to make it a comfortable planet for us to live. And I would be very positive. So if there will be a solution for COVID very soon, and in a year or two we will all forget about it and tell it on the panels as a story. But so it shouldn't prevent you, and I would just say be brave. Fear is the biggest enemy, and fear of failure is the enemy. If you don't try, you don't succeed. So very, very positive.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up in this positive manner with a smile on my face. Ladies and gentlemen, here to the audience or watching us at home, please give a huge round of applause for our panelists today. Ladies and gentlemen, Renata Brkic and Mr. Teo Petricevic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.